Our teacher ran into class screaming, "Where is my husband?" She had blood on her sleeve and couldn't stop shaking. Mrs. Novak burst through the door of AP English at 9:23 on a Wednesday morning, her white blouse soaked red from elbow to wrist. Her face was sheet white except for 2 bright spots of color high on her cheeks, and her hands were trembling so violently that when she tried to grip the doorframe for support, her fingers just slipped off. Her hair had come loose from its usual neat bun and hung in wild strands around her face. She looked at all of us sitting there with our copies of The Great Gatsby open on our desks and screamed it again, louder this time, her voice cracking on the last word. "Where is my husband? Has anyone seen David? Please, someone tell me where David is." The blood on her sleeve was still wet. I could see it dripping onto the floor, dark red drops landing on the beige linoleum and spreading. Mrs. Novak had taught at Riverside Academy for 8 years. She was known for being calm and composed, for never raising her voice even when students talked over her or turned in plagiarized essays. She wore cardigans and pearl earrings and graded papers with a fountain pen. She was the last person anyone expected to see covered in blood and screaming. My best friend Zara grabbed my arm under the desk, her nails digging into my skin hard enough to leave marks. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Is that real blood?" I couldn't answer because I was staring at Mrs. Novak's face, at the way her eyes were moving frantically around the room, searching each of our faces with desperate hope. Behind her, Principal Osmond appeared in the doorway, his expression shifting from confusion to alarm when he saw the blood. "Caroline," he said, using Mrs. Novak's first name in a way I'd never heard before. "Caroline, you need to come with me right now. Let's go to my office and we can talk about this." Mrs. Novak spun around to face him, and that's when I saw the blood wasn't just on her sleeve. There was a smear of it across her collarbone, disappearing under the collar of her blouse. There were drops of it in her hair. "I can't find David," she said, her voice breaking. "He was supposed to be at his office this morning, but he never showed up. His secretary called me at 8:30 saying he missed an important meeting. I went to our house and there was blood in the kitchen, so much blood, and the back door was open and his car is still in the garage, but he's not there. Where is he? Where did he go?" Principal Osmond moved toward her slowly, his hands raised like he was approaching a frightened animal. "We need to call the police. Have you called the police?" Mrs. Novak laughed, a high-pitched sound that didn't match her face. "The police? The police won't help. They never help. You don't understand what's happening. I need to find David before they do." Before anyone could ask who they were, Mrs. Novak's legs gave out. She collapsed against the doorframe and slid down to a sitting position, still shaking, still scanning our faces. Principal Osmond spoke into his radio, calling for the school nurse and campus security. Within seconds, people were running down the hallway. Our class sat frozen, nobody moving or speaking, just watching this surreal scene unfold. Mrs. Novak looked directly at me then, and I don't know why she focused on me specifically, but her eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that made my breath catch. "Isla," she said, and hearing my name from her mouth in this context felt wrong. "You're smart. You notice things other people miss. I've seen you watching, thinking. Tell me the truth. Have you seen anything strange around school lately? Anyone who doesn't belong here? Anyone asking questions about faculty members?" I shook my head, unable to form words. What was I supposed to say? That I'd seen her husband David Novak exactly once, 3 weeks ago when he'd come to pick her up after parent-teacher conferences? That he'd seemed like a normal guy in his mid-30s with wire-rimmed glasses and a briefcase? Mrs. Novak's face crumpled with disappointment. The school nurse arrived, a competent woman named Diane Reed, who immediately knelt beside Mrs. Novak and started examining her for injuries. "Caroline, where are you hurt? Is this your blood?" Mrs. Novak shook her head violently. "It's David's. It's all David's. There was so much of it in the kitchen, on the floor, on the walls. Someone hurt him. Someone took him." Diane's expression became very serious. She looked up at Principal Osmond and mouthed something I couldn't make out. He nodded and spoke into his radio again. "We need police at Riverside Academy immediately. Faculty emergency." 2 campus security guards arrived and helped Diane get Mrs. Novak to her feet. She went with them but kept looking back at our classroom, her eyes still searching. When they disappeared down the hallway, Principal Osmond cleared his throat. "Class, I need all of you to remain here. An administrator will come to talk to you shortly. Please do not leave the room, and please do not post about this on social media. This is an active situation and we need to respect Mrs. Novak's privacy." He left, closing the door behind him. The classroom exploded into conversation immediately. Everyone was talking at once, pulling out phones, texting. Zara turned to me, her face pale. "That was insane. Do you think her husband is actually missing, or do you think she's having some kind of breakdown?" I thought about the blood, about how much there had been. That blood looked real, and she said there was more at their house. Something happened. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. The message was short and direct. "She knows. They all know now. You need to be careful." I stared at the screen, my stomach dropping. Full story is linked below or on my channel.